Are you thinking about buying a lake house in the North Georgia mountains, but you're stuck between Lake Blue Ridge, Lake Nottely, and Lake Chatuge? They all look incredible online, but they live very differently in real life. I see a lot of buyers fall in love with a pretty listing photo, maybe a dock shot, or even a sunset over the water. And then they later realize that, oh, this isn't quite what we had pictured. Because these lakes are different when it comes to vibe, boat traffic, price points, and overall lifestyle. And that difference can be the gap between this is nice and this is exactly what we wanted. So in this video, I'm going to break down the key differences between Lake Blue Ridge, Lake Nottely, and Lake Chatuge. So by the end, you'll have a clear sense of which one actually fits your lifestyle, your budget, and how you plan to use the home. And if you stick with me until the very end, I'm going to give you a simple framework to figure out your lake personality and match it to the right lake in just a couple of minutes. So let's start with the one that most people recognize first. Premier name, postcard views, Lake Blue Ridge sits right next to the town of Blue Ridge. And honestly, it's kind of the headline lake for this whole area. You've got bluish green, real pretty, clear water, big mountain backdrops, and a very strong connection to town. Restaurants, shops, breweries, all just a short drive away. And there's a reason you see this lake all over Instagram. From a buyer standpoint, here's what that usually means. Lake Blue Ridge has a strong name recognition. People search for it specifically. That often translates into higher price points, especially for good water and strong views. You'll see a mix of full-time residents, getaway homeowners, and vacation rentals in certain pockets. And if you're thinking about renting part-time, that name recognition can help, but it also means that you're playing in a more competitive and premium space. I usually see Lake Blue Ridge as a great fit if you want that premier, recognizable feel. You like being close to a busy, walkable downtown, and you're okay paying more for the combo of lake, town, and views. And if your picture is dinner downtown, back to the modern cabin or the lake house, maybe renting it part-time, Lake Blue Ridge belongs on your list for sure. Now, if that sounds good, but you're leaning quieter, let's talk about Lake Nottely. Quiet, laid back, residential. Lake Nottely sits up near Blairsville and it has a very different energy. This lake is known for being more laid back, more residential, more exhale and stay a while. Plenty of coves, quieter stretches of shoreline, and a mix of established neighborhoods and private feeling spots. From a buyer's perspective, that often means less tourist bustle and a calmer atmosphere, and a great fit for longer stays or even future full-time living. Depending on the property, you may also find that pricing feels a bit more approachable than the top tier of Lake Blue Ridge, though every lake does have its range. You still get boating, fishing, paddling, just without quite as much weekend traffic. I usually recommend Lake Nottely if you like being near a town that feels a little bit more local. You plan to use the home yourself a lot, and you're drawn to peace and quiet on the water. If your ideal lake life looks like coffee on the dock, sunset boat rides, and less noise, Nottely just might be your sweet spot. Now, let's talk about the lake with that big water feel. Big water, mountain backdrop. Lake Chatuge is centered around Hiawassee and it stretches up into North Carolina. This lake feels bigger, it's more open and more boating focused. You've got wide stretches of water, strong water sports culture, and mountains rising all around the shoreline. For buyers, that usually means that if you're a true boat person, cruising, skiing, wakeboarding, Chatuge is very appealing. Hiawassee has that classic lake town vibe as well. Events, marinas, and activities centered around the water. And because the lake crosses state lines, you get slightly different feels and options depending on where you look. Like other major lakes, the best water, views, and dock setups can command a premium, but you're getting that true big lake experience. I tend to recommend Lake Chatuge if boating is at the top of your list. You want big water and mountain scenery, and you like a town that's deeply connected to the lake life. If your must-haves start with, we want a dock, a boat in the water, and room to explore, well, Chatuge deserves a serious look. So how do you actually decide between them? Vibe, access, and use. When I walk buyers through these lakes, we usually talk about three buckets. Vibe, busy versus quiet. Access, how close are you to town and amenities? And use, is it a getaway home, investment property, future retirement, or a mix? In simple terms, Lake Blue Ridge, name recognition and town energy. Lake Nottely, peaceful, residential, slower pace. And Lake Chatuge, big water, boat-centered lifestyle. None of these are better or worse, they're just different. So think about it this way. If you want premier and postcard friendly, you may be a Lake Blue Ridge person. If you want quiet mornings and longer stays, Lake Nottely may fit you a little bit better. And if you want big water and active late days, you're probably a Lake Chatuge buyer. Then we layer in budget, drive time, and how often you'll actually be here. Let's wrap it up with that lake personality exercise. Here's that quick exercise. On a perfect weekend, what are you doing? Are you walking downtown and trying restaurants, or are you staying mostly at the house, coffee in hand down on the dock, waiting on a quiet boat ride? How important is the name of the lake to you? Do you want instant recognition, or do you care more about how the lake feels? And how do you see yourself using the place in 3 to 5 years? Is it a weekend escape, maybe a family retreat, or a possible retirement home? Once you answer those, the direction usually becomes pretty clear. Energy and recognition, Lake Blue Ridge. Quiet and residential, Lake Nottely. Big water and boating, of course, Lake Chatuge. So if you're serious about buying a cabin or a lake house here in the North Georgia Mountains, go ahead and hit subscribe. I've got more videos coming covering specific neighborhoods, price points, and what to look for in a getaway home or investment up here in the mountains where we are selling peace with a porch and a view.